Machines, and today again we have Sathvik with us again. For a very interesting topic, which is India is Bitcoin the next gold rush for India? Hi Sathvik, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Shambhu. How are you doing?
I'm great and I'm very excited. The new all-time high, and then the Trump government, coming up with the announcement of probably considering Bitcoin as a part of their reserves. So just to get the conversation started, and before we kick in right into the topic, what's your
Mhm.
opinion on this? What do you think about the U.S. Government, the upcoming government's call on Bitcoin is gonna be like?
Yeah, I would say it's very exciting. I think it's like the probably the long-standing dream of every Bitcoiner. Once you understand what Bitcoin is all about, that there should be more institutions, there should be more government supporting this kind of technology and the way the monetary system have been created, I guess. So I'm very, very excited, and probably we are getting. I mean, whatever we believe will become reality is kind of becoming reality now.
100%. And I really like how, once this news kicked in, even I posted on my Instagram story and a lot of my other social media handles. And then a lot of my friends who have been trying to tell about Bitcoin, the minute they heard the term that Trump or the Trump government or the upcoming US government has said something about that, it kind of became like a really big deal for them. So do you think it's going to play a major role in the upcoming mass adoption for this bull run?
Definitely, I think so. I mean, for every bull run, there actually have been a reason, and maybe even 6 months ago, I didn't know the reason why it would actually go up for this particular bull run, because the bull run will only happen when you actually have money coming in, right? So there is like some kind of new investors looking into like investing into this thing, right? So now I think we kind of have found a reason. I don't know if it is to what extent is coincident. I guess but however, this time definitely there is a very very strong reason why the bull run should happen. As I mean, the reason is like much more stronger as compared to last three bull run reasons. It was like, okay, there are like new institutions coming in. Before that, there was like enthusiasts coming in. In between, there were traders coming in. There was some hedge fund coming in, and those things can only push up the price to some extent. And this time, the government's coming in. Is actually it was required for this kind of bull run that we're looking at. Yeah.
Yeah, but then again, it brings me down to the question given my analysis, at least my observation of Trump's knowledge on Bitcoin, particularly. I mean, it seems like more of a marketing move to me. What do you think?
Uh, See, how else you should do if you and like let's say you're Trump, right, or I am Trump. So no matter what you try to do, it will attract attention anyway. You cannot do it without attracting without attracting attention. You cannot. It is not like his own money is trying to invest. It is like the nation's money. It's like the government's money that they're trying to invest and have some reserves in Bitcoin. And given that scenario, I think it's kind of necessary that it is public information. I cannot see how it will happen without it. And if he's really talking about like 100, I mean, it's like 10 lakh bitcoins, which is like what 1 million bitcoins. That is what they actually want to hold in reserve over a period of time, and his tenure is like 4 years. So then we are essentially talking about, even with today's price, it's like $100 billion is kind of required from the government's coffers to buy this kind of bitcoin, even if you can buy it at the present market price, all of it, which actually is definitely not going to happen. So
Yeah.
the way the pricing would work is, by the time this guy coops up about 1 million Bitcoin, the price would have been significantly increased as well. So whatever today's price will be the minimum price at which he's buying, and it will only go up if he try doing whatever he's trying to do. It would look like marketing, but I would still think it's kind of a necessary move for.
The US government.
It's kind of see. I mean, after you understand you want to do it, at one point of time, Elon Musk had some, sort of say he did some dance and singing, and but then there was some Microsoft with before that, which actually had something. So when these kind of bigger guys like BlackRock or anyone like try to do anything, it will become kind of marketing. But they are well known, and whatever they try to do, people will get to know anyway. I think so. That's how I would see this as.
Yeah, I mean, definitely they do hold an influence over the masses, and I think that's a major reason why anything they say tend to have a kind of mark on the price action of anything and everything that they tend to speak about, which is good and also not so good, in other regards. Now, coming to India, Satvik, what do you think is this particular news going? How do you think is this particular news going to impact India? Because India is highly influenced, and as we have seen, on political terms at least, Trump and the Indian Prime Minister have been really, really, really close with certain global political moves, political alliances, things like that. Now, Trump coming up with one such statement, do you think that is going to positively impact India, or India is going to stay at its stance of, maybe not having any say around it and just being what they are right now?
No, that will be like a super wild guess. I think it's too tough to answer that question. So India usually have the history of looking at developed countries, what they tried to do, whatever they tried. Is it like end up in a mistake, or they were able to figure it out? So once those things are kind of figured out, which probably could take as much as another 2 to 3 years at least, then India will try to take some kind of stance. If you're thinking like, okay, what they did, if depending upon that, if there is any effect that we are expecting in India, it will be a little bit more medium term than super short term. But on the other side, I mean, our government can have its view of its own as well. Not like it always have to depend upon how the US government is treating it, I think. So if that happens, maybe we will hear from them a little bit more sooner. I guess it's like the good thing if that happens, as long as it is supportive of the industry. On the other side, if it is opposing the industry, we may hear even more sooner. But given the way the rest of the world and developed countries are progressing, we definitely want to wait and watch. At least if it is, I mean, than going in negative direction, because that kind of answers a lot of questions, I guess, as well. And then figure out like the next steps. So when it comes to technology and this kind of monetary systems and everything, right? So be it like the payment gateway, be it like the internet, be it anything, including the payments using mobile phone apps and everything, and internet also. And we have always taken like a lag of about 3 years, 5 years in the past. If that same thing happens, maybe we will have to wait for a couple, I mean, some more time before this actually like turns up. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely this has been seen in the past, but also India's been really great with picking up with the pace. So hopefully it's all gonna pan out well. But we have a quick question here from Crypto Trailblazers in the comment section asking, will Bitcoin break the barrier this Christmas as we have seen in the past Christmases?
What better are we talking about?
I think the price barrier, which it has anyways crossed. I mean, it's
Crossing multiple times.
yeah.
Yes. Or if you're talking about the knowledge barrier, I definitely don't think so.
I
uh,
think we're all struggling with that, no?
yeah, it's we have, I mean, it has been a struggle already since I think since 10 years at least, I guess. So okay, he mentions price. Okay, the price barrier. I don't think it's a barrier, right? So it's already on the free run. So
Wild.
or maybe in his mind he has a price of about $150,000 or $200,000. Maybe that he's thinking like a hurdle or a barrier. So may not be this Christmas itself. If that is the case, it probably will take a little bit more longer, I guess. Uh, but sometimes we still don't understand why the price is going up. Sometimes I wonder as well. But let's see. Sure, but it's like people are buying. I mean, that you can definitely see, and those people who are buying may have some information that we don't have yet, or maybe they have done the required analysis to figure out like why they need it, right? So, and just having money is the reason for people to buy Bitcoin. I don't believe in that story. It's definitely not. There is so many other things they can buy just because they have money. So it's really not.
Very strange thing happened over the weekend. I was just, I met these new bunch of people who are into music and stuff, and there happens to be a guy who's been holding Bitcoin since 2011. He's got, I'm not going to reveal his name or identity or anything, of course, but he's been holding more than 100 Bitcoins. And then I happened to just randomly talk about it. And he goes like, I have these many. And I'm like, what? You have over 100 Bitcoins? And then he's like, oh, that's what I've been doing. I've just invested all over the, wherever I felt like. And I thought it's the right move. And I kind of had spare money during this while. And thinking, looking at that, I felt like a lot of people who have done that in the past or maybe are also trying to do it right now, it's going to be the same case 10 years later. No, I mean, imagine meeting somebody 10 years later with say 10,000 sats. It's going to be very similar. And
So we should, for the first question we should ask him is, have you secured it in some kind of hardware wallets or?
yeah, that's what I asked him. Like, have you self custodied it all? He's like, yeah, he's done the proper research and all, and he's moved it to his private wallet, and he's kept it secure. He liquidates whenever he feels like the need to get some cash out of it and all. I mean, he's got 100 bitcoins. How much would he need? No matter how much he spends, it's never gonna get over. So,
So it's actually crazy amount of money. I totally agree.
indeed. I mean, $100,000 into 100 bitcoins. Oh my god,
But don't do the calc.
money.
There is and maybe he's like one of the very few guys. So else people who invest money into crypto, they exit at some kind of multiplier. They'll not hold it forever. And you know, the best thing with crypto is, um, you should just learn one thing: don't time the market.
Don't time the market. I mean,
Just keep I mean, in the market, leave it and give it enough time. You know, it's like the other way around.
yeah.
And then it'll reply. Yeah.
And I think also more and more we understand about the fundamentals of Bitcoin. We understand that it's not about a cycle, a 4 year cycle, 2 year cycle, bull run, bear run. It's much more intrinsic than that. And once you get that into your head, I think there's no going back from it, which is a great deal. But yeah, it takes time to get there. Right now, what I personally struggle with is explaining people about this. They're like, oh, right now it's at its, full phase and then it's just gonna go down. I'm like, as a matter of fact, whosoever bought Bitcoin like before this bull run is not in red as of today. That is a big deal. So,
Yeah, I would say, like, people always say that okay, Bitcoin sometimes go to the moon, and that's something we hear
but
often.
what is the moon? My question also is, what is the moon?
Okay, I have a little bit different perspective here. Okay,
Uh-huh.
if you see moon, it grows, like go from no moon day to full moon day, and then again it like goes down. Okay, but if you are bothered about every day how the moon is growing or how it is shrinking, it is a completely different thing as compared to learning about the moon itself, right? So that is the, I mean, if they say go to the moon, I don't see the way it grows or shrinks. I mean, to me it's like learning about something new that just we don't kind of know it. It's like much more bigger picture, as simply compared to, um, I mean, it's like growing and shrinking. I would call it like a volatility, right? So the growing moon and shrinking moon attracts people's attention towards moon. Why you're not excited about sun? Why you're not excited about Mars? Because it's not showing any change. It just exists. It just exists. It just exists, right? Because this is showing some change, and you feel that it is very close to you as compared to everything else, and it kind of appears cool. So I think that's what attracts attention. So
Once
on the other side, like the kind of bull cycle, bearish cycles, halving, then some kind of news coming out. So all of these is like the teasers. I feel so. Yes, it's keep on getting, attracting attention of people. If the price is just increasing in only one way, I don't think enough people would actually notice it. They just take it for granted. Okay, this is what it is, right? So why we don't really talk about the inflation in Bitcoin, even though actually more and more Bitcoin is getting added every single day, because it is so predicted, and you know it already, and you know it on day one, you know it in between, you know today, you will know 10 years later as well. So that is just a property, right? So it is not something that will significantly grab your attention. So what is not so obvious is actually what is all about. When you say news, it's about not what is not obvious, right? If it is obvious, then it's not news. It's just another information,
information.
yeah, information, or maybe not even information. It's just a fact, kind of thing. So these actually, kind of attracts attention. Okay, ETF got approved. I mean, what if ETF didn't get approved? Probably the price would have been a little bit less, but Bitcoin is still Bitcoin, right? So, and probably would have taken a little longer, or maybe it has already taken longer. We don't know. So whatever it is whatever it is. Um, but yes, so these things definitely drag attention towards it, and people will want to watch it, and they want to try to analyze the market, and people actually want to feel smarter. And the real smart people, I mean, if you're doing it for a trading purpose every day, you just want to make 1 or 2%, make sure that you're like holding some investment, and if that is your job, that is fine. If not, people should just go for long term investment, at least medium term investment, which is like a couple of years away. If you're holding it for 5 years, there hasn't been a single instance where it didn't answer.
Also, quick question here, Satvik. Since you mentioned your perspective on the phases of moon and going to the moon part of it, do you think phases of the moon and then the high tide is the altcoin price rising and the effect of it? One analogy to put that in place,
Uh,
maybe.
I mean, it's really all up to you, however you want to say it, because whatever you are doing now is fitting it retrospectively, right? So now, like literally, for example, love existed in the world forever, and now you want to relate it to the moon, like how cool it is, or you relate it to the flower, or you want to say that like it is like the ocean, like that. I mean, retrospectively, you can do whatever. It doesn't even matter. But it is what it is. I think what has existed since before, and what is the new thing that you're relating to is like different things, right? So I definitely would say yes when it comes to Bitcoin. And I see I did there's a lot of things I can only talk about Bitcoin, even though I generally am required to talk about Bitcoin and crypto. But this is the time where it's like Bitcoin is the only one dragging attention of people.
Bitcoin is the talk of the town right now.
Yeah, it's the only thing that is dragging attention of the people. And if you see the last bull run 2021, every other coin which existed at that point of time, and if you see them, the whatever the price it is now, and if you compare it with the price of Bitcoin, I don't see any notable coins which have surpassed the performance.
Surpass is so like far-fetched altogether. Coming even like I think even 50% growth is something that we have seen in Ethereum. Not even 50%. I think somewhere around 35-40%.
We saw, I think, $4,600 to be the all-time high in Ether in 2021, and now it is not even 4,000; it's like 4,000.
Yeah.
So it didn't surpass. If you actually see it's let's say even up to year 2020, okay, when I am talking to people like traders, they are trying to buy Bitcoin, they're trying to buy altcoins and sell it high, so that they can acquire some more extra Bitcoin with that extra money. That's the aim, is to actually get more Bitcoin. Okay, that was the thing. And a lot of the exchanges before, I mean, at USD didn't really like, was not that strong yet. So people used to trade it against Bitcoin, right? So if you're doing it with Ether, it's against Bitcoin. If you're doing with Dogecoin, it's against Bitcoin. That's how it kind of was. So the exit that people are looking at least a short term exit, is like, okay, you earn more money and use that money to buy Bitcoin. And
But
because you buy Bitcoin, yes, like you did whatever you did. And they're actually, a lot of them start with Bitcoin, then get into altcoins, try to maximize it, and then get back to Bitcoin. But now it is like not so anymore. I think the meme coins is tracking the stupid attention is like so ridiculous. So again, if you're just looking at making some money, that's fine. At least whatever money you made in those kinds of meme coins, if you did, people should actually put some part of it in Bitcoin, I guess. So I mean, there is so much of meaning in Bitcoin as compared to anything else. So people should kind of notice it. Um, there are times, yes, out of 100 people, there will at least be 20 people who will really be able to make good money out of meme coin, and some people may do some money, but not like a lot of money, and some people may lose money, etc. as well. So we can obviously meet people who have made money using meme coin, because yes, they bought it like super low, and the volatility is so much that um, luckily they just like became richer. But when it comes to the Bitcoin, it is not like just you're lucky you become rich. But literally you have to understand it. If you are not understanding it, then you're not holding it. If you're not holding it, you're not becoming rich. So understand the basics, I think. Go in deep, why it exists, why it should continue to exist, and why you want to be some part of it. And you should stay invested. So those are all the questions. Once people understand, they definitely are not looking at the price of Bitcoin. They just want to hold it. That's all. Yeah.
Yeah, because of the intrinsic value, of course, it's solving such a grave problem at the core level. And I think that is what I keep trying to explain to the people that I'm meeting every now and then. But then again, as per my observation, I've never been able to orange pull someone in the first go. It is always taken for me, say, 4 to 5 goes for them to get intrigued into it. So I think that's a process. I think none of us got Bitcoin in the first go, so it's a process. And while they keep on learning and while they understand this whole thing, that is the value addition to it. I think the network effect is being added over there rather than just somebody buying bitcoins, because I've tried this method as well, where I'm just zapping somebody some sats or something just to get them intrigued, looking at the price they might be intrigued, but that also hasn't worked as much than me constantly bugging them about, you should now this story of
I would not suggest you to actually bug them. Okay.
अरे so
Tell
समाज
tell
सेवा समाज
tell.
सेवा
See, because no matter whatever the past performance is, does not always tell what it will be in the future, right? And now that you also live in India, and the people whom you're talking to also live in India, you continue to have some kind of the clarity doesn't exist, some kind of blurred vision. And let's say if you bug someone in November 2021, they would have been cursing you for 3 years, right? So till November 2024, they are negative, right? And once it becomes more than that, we all actually forget the bad days where the price was low, and we kind of start celebrating it because there is so much of news again and again and again in this kind of bull market. It'll kind of make you forget, but it repeats itself again when it comes to, there will be like, okay, today you would have said uh, good possibility next year would be a little bit better as well, and then it could be like 2026, 2028 could be like the very very dull years. And when that happens, you look like, okay, because of this person I invested, and I should not have in the first place. And there is again real good chance that over a period of 2.5 3 years of dull cycle, they may even need that particular money, and they may sell it up at a loss. And after the price goes up, they will again look at it, and then again curse you for okay, with not holding it, and you made them invest at the wrong time. Yeah, and they wish that you told them about this at the bearish market. So in the bearish market, actually there is not enough news at all, and we still don't know if the price continue going down anyway. So there is actually no time you can influence personally someone about like you should buy it, it's good. I actually will never tell. You should not.
Yeah, I mean, I do that more on a personal note rather than a.
That
I
is
understand. I understand it
that
carries
is
like
not your AMA or TK. Okay, so you are just like telling about it in general. But when you are talking about it in person, and it is more about personal connection, that is where actually the risk part is.
Yeah, I also tend to agree with that, because I remember a lot of people back when I got my first salary and I bought some sats out of it, and I was telling everybody because FTX crash had just happened and the price had also crashed, and I'm like, just get it if you can. If you like 10,000 rupees, just put it in Bitcoin, forget about it. I've been telling people since then, and now they're all like, oh, it's gotten up to 100,000, and now tell me, I'm like, कोई फायदा नहीं है अब तो. I
Mm.
mean, फायदा अभी भी है. As a matter of fact, फायदा तो अभी भी है. But then me telling them back at that time carried a lot more value than now me going and telling them, because now it's anyways the price go up is doing the marketing for itself. So I mean, me educating them would not very well influence the fundamental understanding of Bitcoin for them. It would just be like making getting rich quick kind of an analysis for them.
See, if they understand the fundamentals of Bitcoin at like technical level, financial level, accounting level, what it means for everyone, then you don't need to market at all. Okay, so it is the vision. See, it's like this, right? So again, it's like comparison. Uh, so till recently, till about 12, 15 years ago, before Bitcoin, right? People didn't know what is the meaning of fiat. They are born and brought up, and they have seen this money, and to them, the money exists. They work for the money, and they have some assets, and they have some success, and they'll die. So when the new technology comes, then you start comparing, saying that what was the issue with the old one, right? So till we saw Swiggy, Zomato, we couldn't really figure out going to a restaurant next door and getting the food and coming back home. It did not appear to be an issue,
Yeah.
because that is what we have been taught since we are kids, and that is what our parents did, that is what our grandparents did, right? So when and calling a taxi driver either through the phone or whatever, it didn't feel like an issue till you have Uber, right? So the next generation would actually don't
Yeah,
even know.
I mean, for them it would be such
Open a
a
taxi
hassle.
agency and you can call them. People don't even not even kind of know that. We are the one who are in between where we have seen that particular
That
program.
that transition particularly happening, and I remember the first time I think I walked into Unocoin's office. This is the conversation we had as well, particularly around where we discussed that we need something, and it took Bitcoin for us to tell us that so much in the current ongoing system needs fixing. And like I think I remember you giving the cycle and walking example. Until the time cycles came into the picture, we all were okay with walking, but the minute cycle came, it made it more convenient, and then we were all like, why not cycles over walking? So I think it's as simple as that.
Yeah, my mother actually tells one. It's like a saying in our local language, Kannada. What it means is, if you see a horse, then your leg starts paining. Okay.
I remember you telling me this one. Yes.
Yeah, so it's been that way. So once and the thing is, once you get used to I mean, like roaming around on the horse, you actually stop bothering about walking. So it's like one thing at a time. So when the new technology comes up, sure, it always comes up. Either it's like totally disrupts old one, or it just provides an upgrade, right? I'm more interested about what disrupts. Upgrade or TKS. Like, yes, you have a car which drives at around 50 miles an hour, and then you have 70 miles an hour car. That's fine. Um, but okay, now there is something called a flight which is commercially available, and you can travel in flight. That is a disruption, right? So it's like leaving behind the previous thing, and it's a completely different perspective altogether. So that's exactly what has happened here, right? So it is difficult to explain what is flight, what the flight journey feels like to a person who have only traveled on the road. Okay, and you cannot even compare. It's too tough to even provide any kind of comparison for them. So that's it. And like how can you explain about the internet for people before internet?
Yeah, there's no explaining them.
You cannot. You have to just like get into it, feel it. You're just a you're just one of the consumers of the new technology, and as more and more consumers join, the technology evolves, and that's pretty much it. And that's exactly what is happening here. So there
With
is people, yeah,
this ecosystem altogether. But now, Satvik, coming to the Gold Rush 2.0 for India, this has been talked about a lot in the few spaces that I've been in, in the past couple of weeks. Gold Rush, what is Gold Rush? First of all, I mean, Gold Rush is something very interesting because all the Indian women, most Indians have got this gold rush where whatever money they get, they either want to put it in real estate, if not primarily real estate, because that's a huge amount. They tend to put it more towards gold, if not gold, if it is even smaller, in terms of amount, they go towards FD, they go towards smaller investments like that. Now, Bitcoin being the next gold rush, how do you see that taking shape in the coming next few years, maybe like a decade or so?
See, the good thing about gold, again comparing it with Bitcoin, uh, so the inflation of gold, right? I'm not talking about the price of gold. I am talking about how much new gold gets added to already present gold in the world every single year. We are just talking about 2%, or maybe a little bit plus minus. Okay. As of now, if you see, the Bitcoin inflation is little more than that.
Yeah.
Um, and in about another 3 years, it will go below that.
Yes.
It is just at the verge. So, if we have believed in gold, yes, it is totally physical in nature. I agree. But if we have believed in gold, we definitely have to, after you understand the technology and how things work the way it works, we are kind of forced to believe about the Bitcoin as well. Right? It's like digital in nature. So there was time, even about 5 years ago, the amount of people who did not believe to do any kind of transactions online. So they felt like, okay, I have to use physical cash, or I have to just go to the bank and drop an EFT form, RTGS form, and make that happen, kind of thing. And they were always scared that, okay, the moment I go digital, then there is like a lot of risks involved, and it's about actually like putting your entire bank account on the internet. And because of their, I would not say ignorance, because of them just not being educated enough, can actually like make them lose money. Like super easy. But right now, you eventually have become comfortable. No? Like people actually like connect their mobile apps, make the payments in UPI. A lot of people does. A lot of people does, right? So they have got into that habit that, okay, for daily transactions requirements and such, sending it to another person's QR code is like the easiest way of sending money, and that avoids you carrying cash, that avoids you counting, that avoids you physically giving the money to another person, and that avoids that person finding the change for you and giving it back to you and you counting it back. So so whatever was tricky over a period of time, given how you create the interface and how you help people to use it, people actually start using it anyway. So now, what are the different challenges, given that it is like gold is kind of a very accepted form of investment in India? It's actually not so in a lot of developed countries. Okay, it's only in India, or only few countries which are like obsessed with kind of gold, um, and that is how a lot of women in India today who are in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, they're brought up that way. That okay, like gold is one of the
Gold is, yeah, your reserve. Like it's your the thing that you hold on to,
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
you hodl.
So they're brought up in that particular way because of their parents, their grandparents, and their sisters, and their cousins, everything, right? So now, if you are kind of comparing the gold with Bitcoin, which again you're naming it as digital gold, right? So and now, what are the other things that you need, right? So if you are making anything with friction, lot of friction, then it will not going to take off, right? So the way to make anything take off is keep on removing friction till it takes off. That's it, right? It's like as simple as it could be it a rocket, be it a flight, be it anything. Okay. So now, okay, it is like tech in nature. Then there is nothing in the physical form. I cannot even say, okay, this used to be 100 rupees currency note in my hand, and now just it is that it is 100 rupees in the in the app. Okay, kind of understandable. But what do you relate for Bitcoin? What it used to be before and what it is now? It's like tricky, right? So a lot of things. If you need to learn about Bitcoin, you have to understand English, and then you need internet. That's like the mandatory thing. You need a smartphone. You need some kind of knowledge about like the online transactions for you to even understand what the normal online transaction is and what it is like, what it is Bitcoin like, right? So, but and also at the external level, you cannot feel how Bitcoin worked. So if I am sending say 100 rupees from my Paytm to your Paytm, it's just one click of a button, and if I'm sending Bitcoin, it's also one click of a button. So is it same? It's actually not.
It's
But
not.
why bother? Why should you bother? Right. So it's if that is the kind of attitude that me and you continue to have, then actually we will not even understand what is Bitcoin. So what it actually means, like at the end, if there is a middleman or not, so that person, I mean that particular aspect making so much of difference, that's questionable, right? So to some extent, it doesn't even matter at the end. These people either call it them as the payment gateway processors or some kind of brokers or whatever it is. So all they're doing is facilitating a particular transfer, and even in Bitcoin, actually there has to be someone facilitating the transfer. But the point is that you don't even know, and you don't need to know who is doing it, because their job is to do it irrespective of whoever you are. So that thing will, that is like the just I mean, it's completely tech point of view. But that alone is like so special. That alone is the thing that today people talk about. The alone the thing like what people call it as decentralization. Um, and at one point of time, just some enthusiasts and techies were behind, and then normal retail people were there, and then you have bigger investors and hedge funds and VC funds getting behind them, and then there were public traded companies getting behind them, and eventually then we had ETFs as well, and now even government is behind them. Now my biggest question seriously is, okay, this particular cycle I can predict, okay, like these are the 3 4 big things, and next year this is like the likelihood of the things, and it'll happen. Now if we are talking about the bull run in 2028, if it is repeating, right, if it is repeating.
It will be. No, guys, no financial advice, by the way. This is just my personal opinion.
We forget about that again. Like the fun part is this, right? See, every time you go to next step, next step, next step, right? So someone with more deeper pocket is getting there to actually put that kind of like billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars, or trillions of dollars of money. I actually have no answer why the 2028 bull run happens yet. If the US government already is now in, and it is in all likelihood the other governments will have some stake, or whatever they have to do, they'll do in next 2 3 years anyway. So now who should come and invest for the bull run of 2028, 29 maybe? So that actually is like the tricky part, I would say. It'll be very interesting. Maybe like
Yeah.
how our co-founder Sunny says, right? So women in India have more gold than US government. It could actually be Indian women.
It could be and it should be, I think one of my major goals for 2025 right now, that I'm also in Goa for a little bit of orange pilling here, because this is also a Bitcoiners hub, one of the major Bitcoiners hub in India. I also want to kind of, this is one of my major goals for the upcoming year 2025, kind of empower women via Bitcoin, because I see the need there. I see the need for them to understand money via Bitcoin, because I see Bitcoin as the only medium to make them understand money. That's how I understood money. I mean, I think that's how most Bitcoiners understood money. And given the situation of, the crime rates against women, the kind of patriarchal culture that we live in, the desire to break free, the restrictions put across, I see so many people, I have known my friends from school, I see them suffering with that because they don't know how to get through with it, how to get past it. I definitely believe that Bitcoin can help them out there. And them understanding Bitcoin and money is going to help them out there. So if it all works out fine, I mean, let's hope I'm at least able to empower. If I'm able to empower like 10 women via Bitcoin in the first quarter of 2025, I'm going to be very happy. So that's the goal. I mean, yeah, most Indian women have got that understanding very, it's inherent. It just about them adapting to the new version of it. It's that bit. I mean, it's the challenge is just that much as far as I see it.
But actually, I have seen few Indian women, right? So who have taken the exposure, who did not know about Bitcoin, and who have taken the exposure, and these women are in their like 40s, 50s.
That's a 40s, 50s. I
Yeah.
was gonna say me as well.
Uh, yeah, but at the end, lot of like younger women don't really have that kind of money to invest, right? So it's like challenging.
As a matter of fact, they do. This is something that my mom, I was discussing this very casually with my mom, and my father's point was, women don't have that kind of money to spend on these things because you have a job, you're working, you have the money, and you kind of save up, you have the understanding there. Most people don't even work. Like most of my, elder cousins and all of that who are married and all, they don't know all of these stuff, but they have a lot of money because they save up money, whatever money they get for, say, the household expenses. They never spend the whole of it. They always tend to save a great amount from it. By great, I mean, say, at least even if 20 to 30% is what they're saving, that's still great out of whatever they're getting. Imagine them putting this in Bitcoin just to protect it of inflation. Forget about everything else. Just to protect it of
These people don't know what is inflation. Like, come on, seriously, you have to just understand that they take inflation for granted. If the prices of things does not include increase over like 1 or 2 years, then the biggest question is what went wrong. Okay, they will not understand something was going wrong and now it is not. No. It's like-
yeah, and
it's a different thing. Okay, so what I'm trying to say about this Indian woman is that uh, see the even it comes to the to women in India, a lot of people uh, live with their own cousins and friend circles and keep beating each other, etc. So they have this kind of like tendency to see how they can outsmart their peers. Okay, so if you actually teach about Bitcoin, they will actually invest in Ether.
trust me, this is one question I've been fed up with. Everyone's like, oh, Bitcoin's got $100,000. Now tell us what is gonna go there next. And I'm like, how do I tell you that there's no silver to Bitcoin? I mean, let alone being another Bitcoin, there's no silver to Bitcoin's gold.
Yeah. So and then they hope that okay, the how the Bitcoin became some tens of x over 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. They want that to happen with Ether, and they want it to happen sooner. Or there will be some people who will feel like, okay, you invest in Bitcoin and you know about it 10 years ago. Only know I know that now, and if I'm making money. If not, anyway, I'm losing money. It's like a risk investment, and I'll just go and buy some Bitcoin. So once they take that kind of attitude, it instantly becomes like um, super complicated for them, and forget about like understanding what is Bitcoin, and they sometimes become frustrated. They do the wrong trades, sometimes lose quite a bit of money because they just don't even know what they're trying to do and why something is going up, why something is going down. And anyway, it's the money that you are ready to lose, and you just lose it and like be done with it. So it should not be that kind of mindset. That is not the mindset that will actually win, or that is not the mindset that will actually bring bull runs. So you need like strongest possible passion and patience uh, to have to be invested in it and believe that to actually take the investment to the next levels. And yes, definitely you're taking a lot of risk, that is definitely there. And even with that kind of risk, people are getting into it. Even with that kind of risk, people are seeing the kind of prices increasing, and that's exactly why you have enough return as well.
But Sathvik, I just have a very quick question. Yeah, I know that crypto to chalo, I mean, is a separate topic of discussion because it's also considered securities as per SEC, a lot of them. But Bitcoin, while it is considered as a super volatile, super risky asset class in general, if you're talking from a layman perspective, As a matter of fact, I feel like it's the least risky asset that is there available right now.
We cannot comment on that really, because
Because again, with a disclaimer that this is all personal opinion, guys, do your own research.
yeah, I actually tend to agree, but it's been that way. True. But if you're talking about risk, it's you should also talk about short term, medium term, long term risks in like various segments, and then
Yeah, but
talk about legal risks, no clarity, and security risks. So
I think we should do a little, off this official call sort of a discussion, because then how I look at it, I am all in for all sorts of diversification. Whosoever wants to invest in equities, bonds, it's everybody's prerogative. Their goals are different and everything. But how I look at it as for example, say I'm investing in a certain stock.
mhm.
Let's take a random name, XYZ company. I know that today this company's stock is like 20 rupees, and I feel like they're gonna do great. 10 years later down the line, they happen to go bankrupt, or they get into some problem, and then that money is gone. I mean, I'm not saying, guys, again, this is with a disclaimer that this is all my personal opinion. Also, not Sathvik's, it's just my personal opinion here, where I don't see that happening with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin currently is a store of value. Moving forward, I see it becoming a medium of exchange. But indeed, I mean, hardest money on planet. So I see that as a parallel of gold right now, and a little more hard form.
Better, even better than that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's kind of my analysis so far as well. Um, so if you see what are the factors or how small the factors can influence any other asset classes, it's comparatively small, right? Just though, for example, let's like a country like India, some kind of rules around imports and exports can significantly impact the equity of some category of companies. When it comes to information technology, blue chip companies, there are some policies that can significantly impact. It could be even as little as the INR to USD conversion rate. Just imagine now everything is set up for about 85 rupees, 84 rupees, whatever. And India does really good. That's amazing. And the price of dollar comes down, whatever we need to pay. And if it comes to 70, then lot of IT companies should shop. Okay. And when it comes to commodities, yes, there are commodities like gold, which is too tough to have any kind of manipulation because of like how wide number of audience, deep pockets, and the governments and everything involved. It's like not so easy. But like that, if you see, there are other categories, other metals and other commodities, which comparatively are more um subject to volatility, depending upon some kind of policies or something going wrong, right, etc. So, for example, at the time of COVID, people were not really able to travel, and the price of oil went negative. They just don't even know where to store it if it gets delivered, kind of thing, right? So the world definitely was not prepared for it or anything like that. So physical come with its own disadvantages. Yes, you can feel it, you can hold it, but that alone does not make it superior, really.
indeed.
Okay, so but when it comes to Bitcoin, it kind of, I would say, hedges itself. So what do I mean by that is, okay, China banned Bitcoin. If Bitcoin, just let's imagine there is Chinese Bitcoin, there is Indian Bitcoin, there is American Bitcoin, for just to understand, right? Then if China bans Bitcoin, then Chinese Bitcoin would have really, really fallen in price, and other Bitcoin would not have really been affected so much. Now it is same Bitcoin everywhere. Yes, it takes some effect, not like zero effect, but the rest of the world is kind of hedging it.
Yeah, the power of decentralization network effects there.
Yeah, and then let's say if there is some policy changes in the another month in Russia, then rest of the world is hedging it, right? And then there is like huge issue like how FTX happened. The rest of the exchanges which continues to run are hedging it. So there is not like one person, one entity, one company, one government, one country which can affect Bitcoin so severely, irrespective of what to what extent things go wrong, unless it is going wrong in the entire world at the same point of time, which means you have much bigger problems than Bitcoin. It's kind of hedging already itself because of the vast distribution that already exists. So if there is a policy which is really affecting the company like Apple, and if that policy change is happening in US, of course it will have super significant effect there.
Of course.
And will that have some effect in India? Yes. But will the companies in India form some kind of hedge to Apple? No,
Not possible.
not possible, right?
Practically not possible.
So that's what I'm trying to say. It's because it is same thing, right? The thing is, it is same thing. If it is different things, then it's different. Because it is same thing, it kind of adjusts from one place to one place, one country to one country, one government, anything to anything, right? So it takes some hit. Yes, that's true. That hit could be in your country, some other country, some other individual, some other exchange, could be whatever it is, but it will take that hit and it will still sustain it, and it will not really good, don't go like going towards zero, because it's like uh, and if some people who are in Bitcoin does a huge scam, does the entire big Bitcoin ecosystem get affected? I don't think so. No.
Good.
But if there is something like Satyam or whatever things that happened in the past, right? Yes. If you are into it, then like good luck, right? But
Yeah, that is my, I think we need to have a little more elaborate session on this sometime and have a more vivid discussion. Now that we are reaching the end of our session, Satvik, we have got a quick question. Maybe we can, I know what the answer is going to be, but just for the satisfaction of Santosh, I'm gonna ask you this question. When are we expecting the top of this cycle, Satvik?
see if the same thing that has been happening continued to happen, um 2013, 2017, and 2021, so where we actually saw some really good bullish markets, we saw it in the months of November and December,
Mhm.
right? So in 2020 it was in November, but 2017 was December, and 2013 was also December.
Basically, मेरे birthday month के आसपास. I'm the lucky charm. I'm actually hoping, if some other all-time high goes on tomorrow, I'm going to be on the ninth cloud thinking that it's my birthday and I got some sort of a, birthday gift from the Bitcoin god.
Doesn't matter because you're not selling.
Yeah, I'm not selling. That is for sure. I might even buy more.
Then,
Just
then, then like why to bother? I mean, you should be happy when the price goes
no,
down.
I'll get a content for my tweet, not tomorrow.
Marketing is different from sales. Good, but it is like, just feeling that all-time high actually like is like very exciting. I think how many ever times that feeling comes up, you only feel good that whatever you believed is becoming true. Whatever you believed is becoming
And I
true.
can imagine from your perspective, I mean, believing in something since the past 11 years. I mean, I think 11 years for Unocoin, it's been more for you in the Bitcoin space. So I see, I mean, that is such a personal, I know it must feel like a personal win for you when you see these numbers go up.
Yeah, it's literally like you want your daughter to be something like an IAS officer. It happens, kind of thing. You would have really worked maybe for 10 years, 15 years to make that happen, and you kept it like a dream. And you want something really bad, really good to happen, and it keeps happening. And it's um, And sometimes you also, because some part of it you are responsible, like you have played some role in it. And that's also, again, if doesn't mean if you have not played the role, it's not like it doesn't happen. You are a small piece of it. But in everything, as long as every person, every country, every government is small pieces, it's like hedging itself. And yes, if it doesn't exist, or if it exists, between those two there is some thing that matters, but it is not like that's the only thing it matters.
Indeed.
And given this thing, it doesn't exist anywhere in the world, in any asset class, in any form. But when people get it, they'll get it, I guess. But else, yeah, that's exactly how
Yeah, in the
Bitcoin
meantime,
is. It's like the best hedge, and to an extent that it also hedges itself.
it is indeed 100%. And I think, guys, everyone watching this session today, this is your cue to start learning more about Bitcoin. And I'm not going to say, just right, go in and invest, but study about it. You're going to be intrigued and you're going to put in your money in it, because that is the only hard money available on this planet as of today. So, I mean, good luck saving your money. On this note, we're going to be ending our today's session. Thank you so much, Sathvik, for such an interesting session, for taking our time to be with us here today. And to everybody who's watching this session, thank you so much for joining in. We'll see you again next week on Thursday, 7:30 p.m. So stay tuned and make sure to follow Unocoin, just so you get all the updates on whenever we're going to be live next. Till then, stack sats, stay humble, and have a great week ahead, guys.
Yeah. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.